Good evening and welcome, everyone. This is the Healthy Mentality Live. This is a forum where I try to spotlight men in the community to talk about health and wellness, to normalize these discussions. And tonight I have a very special guest who has a very specific journey that I wanted to highlight. But before we get started, I want to emphasize that I am not a medical provider. My guest, Shawn, is not a medical provider. We are not offering medical advice. We are only offering our perspective and our experiences. If you hear something, feel free to write it down and talk to your own medical provider about it. With that said, I want to welcome to the stage and please help me in welcoming him, my man Shawn.
What's
Shawn,
going
welcome.
on?
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Thank you for joining me. Can you introduce yourself and give me your backstory? What's your origin story, superhero?
So um my origin story is just, similar to a lot. Dealing with, weight issues throughout my life, and excess uh chest issues and things like that growing up. Even when I was on the smaller side and, weight wasn't necessarily an issue. Having those chest issues, getting picked on, getting your chest flicked in school, things like that. So basically since about 2023, I've been on a GLP-1, starting on Wegovy, later transitioned into Mounjaro, lost 120 pounds, and then made the decision to have gynecomastia and loose skin removal surgery.
Nice. So obesity is something that you've dealt with your pretty much your entire life.
Yeah, so like late adolescent, um, got to high school, kind of tapered off, you know, looked kind of normal, but still had the chest areas, and then transition into adulthood, and then the weight really packed on.
And was there any impact for your body image or your confidence level with that?
No, I mean, it depends. So I really didn't see an issue with like my body type until other people commented. So it depends on what area, like at the time that I was living in. So in high school I lived in a suburban area, predominantly white. So being around my family and then going to school, like I guess like body image and standards was a little bit different. So in high school, I was stocky, but on the smaller side, football build type of situation. So in high school, people would deem me as like, fat or a bigger person. But whenever I would go, home, like to the country, things like that, I was normal to them. So not too much commentary on my body there. But when I was in school, I had a lot of people that would say things about my body. So
Yeah,
yeah.
kids can be brutal. We all know that. Um,
Hmm.
were there any family discussions? And I'm curious about this, especially as a man and a black man. Were there any discussions within your family or friend groups about your your health and things that you need to address? You need to know what your numbers are. You need to have this screening. You need to have that screening. Did you have those type of discussions?
Um, I didn't start. People didn't start questioning me until maybe I started to get like in the 300s and things like that. People would make certain comments. They'd be like, "Oh, you got bigger since the last time I saw you." Um, in terms of like, like my levels and things like that, I've been pretty good about going to the doctor, since a kid. Like I think that was something that was kind of grained in me, but nobody really sat and asked, like, have I been checking on certain things and stuff like that. I more so kind of like brought it up when I started asking more questions about, my comorbidities and things like that. But in terms of family, nobody really asked. Like we might have had like conversations in passing about like just general stuff that maybe a lot of us were suffering, but nobody specifically came to me. If anything, it was more so about like my body image versus like my actual health.
Yeah. Did you have any additional health issues outside of the obesity? Did it lead to other things like sleep apnea, diabetes, and high blood pressure?
So I was diagnosed the first diagnosis that I got, resulting from obesity was hypertension. And then later on, like when I graduated from undergrad, then that's when I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
So no sleep apnea. Thank, thankful. Be thankful for that. That that thing is a mess. Um, so you said you started in 2023. You started on a GLP-1, which was Wegovy. What led you to look into that medication versus a bariatric surgery?
So I actually did get a consult for like bariatric surgery probably late 2022. Um I think the reason why I didn't go through with that because I asked because at the time I was working with like geriatric, and I noticed like when people get older and stuff like that, they didn't like to eat. Like it was like a lot of things that providers wanted them to do is like get their water intake up, like get their protein in, like ensure, like all of these things and stuff like that, right? So I'm like, I understand that right now, like they'll remove like a piece of my stomach and to kind of help out with food consumption and things like that. But when I went to get the consult, I asked the provider. I said, "Well, what does your patients look like when they get older, like when they are geriatric care and things like that?" And he was like, "Well, there's really not much research that I can really tell you about." When they get older and stuff like that, like how does that impact their health and stuff like that. And I know like even, when somebody gets it, like they have to do the vitamins, they have to do all of the things and stuff like that. And aging already is a beast in itself. So I was like, well, what does that look like when I get elderly and things like that? So I was like, I'll sleep on it some more. Um, I think about it. And then I got like a bill, like my consult was like only like 15-20 minutes. And I got a $500 bill. And I was just I was just annoyed by like the whole process. And I think maybe like beginning late December 2022, early January, on TikTok, like I'm doing like, normal TikTok stuff. And I came across somebody that was talking about like these GLP-1s, and then I went down a rabbit hole. And then of course, when you look up stuff like on TikTok, it just keep feeding you all of the things and stuff like that. And then I started seeing a lot of, my mutuals and things like that. I scheduled an appointment with my primary care doctor, and I was like, hey, like I'm seeing this drug, like it's, FDA approved, all of the things. Is this something that you can help me out with? And he told me no. So I was just like, well, every time I come here, you're complaining about, my numbers, how, my longevity may not get past 50, things like that. So I'm confused on why you're not willing to help me out with that. And then he was like, well, I can't help you out with that because I just don't feel comfortable doing it, but I know a provider that will. And then he did a referral for like a weight loss clinic. And then that doctor was the one who prescribed me Wegovy.
Thank you. Real quick, how's this? My mic level better for you guys in the chat? You can hear me okay, Shawn, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Saw a few comments about them not being able to hear me as well as you. So I just want to make sure that they're getting a better audio now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay.
All right, we'll keep it moving. All right, thanks, Grant. Thanks. All right. So you got the referral to the weight loss clinic. How was that experience for you?
It was cool. I started a GLP-1 during the times where like they was having like the shortage issues and stuff like that. So I had to drive out of the way in order to get my first script for Wegovy and things like that. But in terms of my experience with the provider, they was like on board. They said I definitely meet criteria to take a GLP-1 and stuff like that. So they were good.
Nice. So when you started your GLP-1, what was your weight at that time?
So my highest weight, I will fluctuate between like 356 and 366. So I had already before even starting, I had started, working out, and I was able to get down to 352. And then that's when I started taking the GLP-1 medication.
And you've lost 120, you said,
Hmm.
from that. Nice. What was your experience between you? So you done both with Govi and Mounjaro. What's your experience between the two? Which one do you prefer?
So I advocate for both because I feel like both did what they were supposed to do. I know a lot of people say that like tirzepatide, Mounjaro, Zepbound is like the king and things like that, but I feel like people respond to whatever medication how the body wants to do. Wegovy took like my first 70 off with no issues. When I transitioned over to Mounjaro, my weight loss like it took a while to get to the like 120. I like both. I have no complaints with both. I think both did what they were supposed to do in terms of like appetite suppression. Um, but I responded really well to Wegovy, and then Mounjaro, I responded to it, but it just still was not the same as how it was with Wegovy.
Did you notice a difference in the side effect profile? I often hear that Wegovy is a little harsher on the side effects.
So I would argue that I had more constipation on Mounjaro versus Wegovy.
Interesting. So you just managed that with Marilax and Mago 7, I'm guessing.
Marilax, or like fiber, like daily fiber packs. Put it in every drink that I get. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much it.
So on your journey, were you tracking your calories on a daily basis, or did you just get into a rhythm and know what you had to do?
So I would say like the first 70 pounds, I was doing a lot of tracking, and then I was eating the same stuff over and over. So after a while, I just stopped tracking because I already knew what I was going to eat. I pretty much ate the same thing, so I felt like I didn't need to do too much counting at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did you do as far as activity? I know you. I remember you saying you did pickleball and things of that nature, stuff that activities that you found fun that allows you to also get a workout in.
Yeah, so when I first started my journey, I joined a dodgeball league. So, um, like I approached weight loss this time a little bit different. So, like I've lost weight before, like so, like in high school, I was much more active, but um, I knew that I really didn't like going to the gym. So I was like, well, you still have to go, but what else could you do that will be physical activity? So I joined an adult dodgeball league, and I did that 2 times a week, and then I went to the gym twice a week as well. So kind of traded off, and then I kind of titrated up, and then after I got into like a rhythm of like going to the gym and just playing like adult sport leagues and things like that, then I transitioned over into pickleball, and then I play that like a lot.
You play that like every week, right?
I play it as often as I can, and if I get
Uh,
lazy and don't want to go to the gym, I'm at a pickleball court.
Pickleball is really taking off. I got a pickleball court in my neighborhood here, so I know a lot of people use it when it's not hot out, which is, in the summer, no one is using it, but it's a real big sport. I think they even have a pickleball themed restaurant in Henderson, Nevada, the next city over. So
Oh wow.
um, pickleball is really taking off.
Hmm.
All right. So your before and afters. I went to your Instagram. I know some of your Instagram. I know you always styling clothes even at your larger size, and it shows here on the screen. Um, so I always saw that confidence in you from dating back to where where you were before and where you are now. And you talk about what where you got that confidence from, where you were modeling clothes. You always put a tight fit together. You always looking sharp, dressed to the nines. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like confidence is something that like it truly has to like come from within, right? So regardless if you big, small, like whatever, like however you present, I feel like somebody's always going to have something to say. Um everybody has their own view on what like beauty is supposed to be or like how people are supposed to present in the world and stuff like that. So I told myself like, you know, you not the only one that's obese, right? So like how do you want to show up in this world? So if if people didn't like what was going on like on the outside, like you just gonna have to like be that person internally. And I feel like being that person internally allowed me to be able to create, you know, like what everybody was seeing like externally, and then, you know, experimenting with like clothes, like figuring out like what works well for like my body and stuff like that, and like how like my style and things like that. So really honing into, you know, the internal work and things like that, that is what allowed me to like show up, you know, in terms of like my outfits and stuff like that.
All right. One one thing I wanted to talk about is your surgeries. I think your what makes your journey unique from a lot of men in the community is you've had the surgeries for skin removal and gynecomastia. And I always see women talking about, skin removal surgeries or the mommy makeovers after losing weight on a GLP-1. And that's a discussion that's never had amongst the men.
Hmm.
Yeah, I hear a comment here and there that we'll look into it or they'll look into it at some point, but I've never seen a man in the community actually go through with a surgery, and that's something that you did. Can you talk about that process a little bit? What made you want to have the surgery? Can you explain what the surgery was for?
So I had gynecomastia and loose skin surgery on like the sides of my chest. So basic gynecomastia is an excessive amount of like breast tissue. So it makes, instead of like having a like more defined or manly masculine looking chest, your chest like looks like female organs or whatever. So I noticed for me, even like times where I would yo-yo like with my weight, even when I gained a lot of weight, everywhere else on my body was like well proportioned except like for my chest, right? So like it was just excessive. So, and that's another reason why I like to wear like, you know, baggy clothes and things like that. And because like my chest would be like so pronounced like with anything else. So I was just like, something's got to give. So I had lost 120 pounds, and I was having, I don't want to say like I actually had like full blown like body dysmorphia, but I couldn't see 120 pounds being gone because like my like when I would wear shirts, like there was always like this outline like in the front and then like on the sides and all of the things like that. Putting on seatbelts, like it just goes straight down, and then it just like it was just it was just always there. So I was like, I don't know when my journey can be like stabilized, or like when I can get into this like maintenance thing when it comes to like this weight loss thing. Like I kept like moving like my goalposts, right? So like
Yeah.
when I first started, I was like, oh, I want to get out of the 300s. I got out of the 300s, and I could tell like I lost weight, but I couldn't say. I was like, oh, well, let me get to 275. Get to 275. I felt like there was no difference. So everybody was like, oh my God, you're so small. And I was like, I'm gonna go to 256. I got to 256, and I just felt like I didn't look any different. And then everyone was like, you are so small, like you're small. And I'm like, I see my chest. and I would look at like my before picture, and then I would, as I'm in the mirror, like getting dressed and things like that, I'm like, if I lost 100 pounds and like my boobs is still there. And
Yeah.
then I was like, oh, I'm gonna get to the 230s. And then I got there, and would look at like after pictures, and it really wasn't moving like how I wanted to. Like my stomach was gone. Like everything else, like I could see like my collarbone, I could see muscles everywhere else, but my chest was just there. And then when I was heavier, like because I had like side like skin flaps and things like that, then that was like starting to droop down as well too. So I was like, maybe I should just, have like gynecomastia surgery. It was something I had looked up before, but I just, plastic surgery just seems like very invasive. And it was getting to a point where it was impacting my mental health. Like I'm like, I don't see the work that I put in. And I was like, well, maybe if I have this surgery, I can be able to see like a blank canvas and see like if I'm truly, okay with like my like how I currently look and things like that. But if I didn't do it, I just felt like I would just keep going in this like circle in terms of like losing more weight and doing all of the things and stuff like that. So I was like, let me just get a consult, see what's going on, and take it from there.
So how did you go about the process of picking a surgeon?
So I researched, just Googling, watching videos, and seeing other men who got it and who had similar body types to mine. And then I just started Googling. So I live in, Northern Virginia. We have a lot of plastic surgeons out here. And then I just started looking at like their before and after pictures. And then I will Google their names and see what people are saying about them. And then I scheduled some consults. And like you were saying, like a lot of men don't really talk about that, but I knew, had mutual friends and stuff that had plastic surgery work and stuff like that. And they, recommended people and things like that. And then my surgeon is actually like near where I live at, like very close. So I, talked to him about it, and he did his physical examination of like my body, and he was basically saying like, yeah, like I can definitely tell you lost a lot of weight, but like your chest isn't like it's not really moving anywhere. Like it has lost some, of its shape because of the weight loss and stuff, but it's nothing that you really can do, to be honest with you, to for them to go away, but to have surgery. So got a few consults and compared prices and what they actually wanted to do to my body. And the surgeon that I really wanted to do, he described the same thing as the surgeon that was nearby me that he wanted to do. He had a better pricing. I just crossed my fingers and gave that man some money.
So pricing, is it, sometimes insurance will pay for it if it's deemed medically necessary. Is this something that um, went through your insurance, or is this something you had to do out of pocket?
So from what some providers was telling me is that it is possible to get it covered through insurance, but it has to be, you know, some impairment like to your life. So causing you like some skin rashes or like, doing certain things to your body that's just causing you to just be impaired in some way. But even when it's covered, I've noticed that some surgeons were still hiking the price up. So even after, you know, insurance was paying for whatever they were going to pay, it would still come out to, what other people was quoting me. And I believe that is simply because other surgeons didn't want to deal with like insurances and stuff like that,
Hmm.
because it's a toss up. They may say yes and some may say no. So I didn't want to deal with that because I worked in insurance before, and I see people who really need certain, services and things, and they have been told no. So I think it was just easier for me to just pay somebody straight up and, you know, lay down comfortably.
Okay. So what's the evaluation process when you go in for the consult? Is it like you see on TV where they're just measuring things out and showing you what things will look like once the surgery is done, and talking to you about the process?
Yeah, so you go in, they don't necessarily like mark you up right then and there, but they'll grab certain things, they'll tell you where they want to like cut at and how they want it, to be. They'll show you some before and after pictures, answer all of the questions that you may have, talk about what you will expect in terms of like payments and things like that, and then also what surgery actually looks like if they need to do any pre-lab work, they go over like your health history and talk about anesthesia, and then once you do your deposit, you schedule a date and you go have some good sleep.
Anesthesia sleep.
Yeah.
That So did your procedure involve just the removal, or was there some lipo involved as well?
Yeah, so for me, I had liposuction, like at the top, left and the right, also at my flanks, and um, they cut out all of the breast tissue. So they did some incisions like under the left and the right breast, all the way to the middle, not all the way to my back, but like approaching towards my back. And they also removed my nipples and made new holes, incisions, lifted up and did all of the contouring, and then grafted my nipples back into the new placement holes that they made for them.
Wow, that's interesting. That's a lot of work. Seem like
Hmm.
how long did something like that take? Do you
So
recall?
my surgery was scheduled for only 3 hours, but it turned into five and a half.
Mm, wow. Was there any because there was a complication, or it just took that long?
It just took that long. So they kind of like quote you like what they think it was going to be, but it was actually 5 hours and 4 minutes. But when you, as soon as you hit after five, they automatically go in 30-minute increments. But it was like 5 hours and 4 minutes or so.
Were you released that day, or is it something you stayed overnight?
So I was released that day. So I think I was like they observed me for like a couple of hours after surgery. I think I had surgery at like 7:30 in the morning, and then I got home probably around like 5.
And this is you. This is a picture that you sent me. How's your healing process?
So, plastic, well, for gynecomastia surgery, it was not that bad. I was expecting to be like in a lot of pain, or it was more discomfort than I would say pain. They did a good job in terms of like pain medication. So the first 2 days, obviously, I was like bleeding a lot. I was draining a lot. I didn't have drains. A lot of people usually have drains. So my liposuction areas. He left them open and allowed all of the fluid to be drained out that way. Um, so it was more so like discomfort. I'll say probably like day 4 or 5, like I was tapered off of like pain medication, but it was just a lot of issues in terms of like movement and things like that. You don't realize how much all the muscles that you have helps you get up and do all of the things and stuff like that. So it was more so a lot of discomfort in terms of like getting up. And if I felt any pain, it was when I would get up and then like gravity was like trying to pull down like on the like
Mm.
incision sites and things like that. But even then, like once I like relaxed a little bit, like I could like adjust to what I was feeling. But I think hitting my toe on the corner of a bed is more painful than what I was feeling medicated during
Yeah,
this surgery.
yeah, yeah. That corner, hitting that toe on the corner of the bed. Oh, no one wants to do that for
Yeah.
sure. The the nipple removal. How's that process, please? Do they actually remove the entire nipple and then reinsert it?
Yeah, so they stitched it back on. So they stitched it to my chest, and then they did another like they put gauzes on top of that, and then they stitched that as well too to kind of like pressure it so like the nerves can grow back into the thing. So in terms of like my incisions under like my chest, like where they like shaped my body, that is completely closed. But like my nipples is like healing, and that takes they say between like 6 months to a year in order for it to like get back to most of its feeling and function and things like that. So that is still healing. Some blood, some swelling right there. I still have swelling on the sides and stuff like that, but it's my nipples is like my area of concern because we're trying to keep them alive so they will go back to normal functioning nipples.
Yeah. So they actually stitched the gauze to you as well. That's interesting. I had never heard of that
Mhm.
before.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So is it off now? Did they remove the gauze, or
Yeah,
is
they
it still
removed the
stays
gauze.
on?
So I got to remove probably like a week after. And the reason why they do that because they want like a little bit of like pressure in order for the um the nipple to take back to the body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about scarring after a surgery like this, especially as a black man? You know, we have to worry about keloids and all that. Is that a concern, or is it done in such a way that it doesn't cause that kind of scarring?
So I mean it's kind of hard to say like right now like what it wants to do. He when he did them so like thinly that it's like when I first got off the table, I was like, wow, like it's like extremely like thin. But like now, like you can see like the scars that I have like on my chest and stuff like that. Um I think my body is trying to figure out if it wants to keloid or if it wants to like lay flat, but it looks like it's trying to like lay flat. If anything, like the coloring like is darker, so it's like pronounced, so like you can actually like see where the scarring at. But um I think I will be okay in terms of the scarring. Like you'll be able to see it, but I don't think it's going to be like a eyesore. And then how he also contoured my chest and stuff like that, so when I like lift weights or if I gain more muscle in my chest, like some men's chest kind of like fold like
Yeah.
under a little bit, and I don't think you will be able to see my scarring too much if it does that.
Now, is that incision, is it glue stitch, or is it actual the actual stitches
So he used like stitches that will like dissolve. So
dissolve?
like
Okay.
yeah, so like my stitches kind of dissolved as time went on. Like I can feel like two stitches that's like being like hard to like come out. So it kind of feels like I stepped on like a splinter or something, but like on my sides. But yeah, they just dissolved. And like as I'm like cleaning in the shower, sometimes like you will see it like, in the washcloth or something like that, but they just fall out.
So the healing process is going well. How long are you out from normal activities like being able to play pickleball or go to the gym and lift weights?
So I'm still not clear yet in terms of like working out. Um but I was clear to go back to work after a week. I took a week and a half off, but he was like, I can go back to work in a week. And I say day six, I was actually bored. I was like, I can go to work and like sit at a desk and do all of the things and stuff like that. I was expecting it to be like a much more like crazy process in terms of like not being able to do all the things, but I was driving probably like day five. Um, but your movement is still restricted. So like lifting like your hands up, like the more you lift, like you can feel like that you probably like should chill out because you might pull something. But
Yeah.
um yeah, in terms of like working, you can go back to work maybe depending on like how much you got going on with your surgery, because there's different grades of gynecomastia. Like there's some people that just have like a pointy like chest and they have like a little bit of tissue, and then there's
Mhm.
people that just have like a full situation going on. So depending on how invasive your surgery is, that determines how long you will be like on bed rest, I guess you would say.
And you're like what, 6 weeks out now?
No,
Like,
so I am probably like 30, 31 to 32 days out.
okay. Yeah, that's right. You
Yeah.
did it on Halloween, right? Or the day before?
Hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Halloween.
Okay. Um, so now that you've got that done, do you see light at the end of the tunnel as far as being able to look in the mirror and see what you want to see that you didn't see before the surgery, even after losing 120 pounds and you couldn't see the results that you were looking for? Are you looking in the mirror now and saying, I could see this is coming together.
Yeah, I can definitely see. I can see the vision now. I can see like what I actually would want to do with my body and things now. Um, Even like clothing shopping, like I would always like really, and everybody does this whether they have to lose weight or not. But it was really hard for me to determine what size to get in certain items because like my chest would, because it was so much there, it pulls like the fabric up, so I couldn't really decipher what size should I get. Should I go up a size because of my chest, or like should I go a normal? Like it was just so much. So now I can feel more comfortable going down a size, even if like the shirt may not fit per se. I can make it work because I don't have like a chest. So I don't have to worry about like my shirt lifting up because of like my chest.
Yeah.
So it's just a much more comfortable experience. I don't, when I'm sitting down or like put on a seatbelt or something, I don't have to worry about like the seatbelt like insinuating like my chest and things like that. So it's a much pleasurable experience, and I feel like I see a man in the mirror now without having excessive breast tissue.
Nice. I love to hear that for you. Um, are there any other procedures that you're looking to now, or you're done?
Um, Now that I've gotten the feel with plastic surgery, I'm not opposed to anything if that's something that I truly want to do. But no, like I think that was the like my problem area. Of course, like you will get loose skin in other areas as well when you lose weight, but it's nowhere near as pronounced as like how like my chest was. Like I relieved, like very much relieved now at this point.
Yeah, and I think that that particular area is a sensitive topic for a lot of men, even though we don't openly discuss it. But the man boobs is something that a lot of men are concerned about and see and take zingers from other men about. So I think you openly discussing this and discussing the process will go a long way in making it acceptable for others to have these discussions. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I was like, even when I got off the surgery table, like I was extremely swollen. So I actually looked bigger in a sort of sense, even though like my chest was like flat, like my top half of my body and even my face on certain occasions actually like swelled up. And I felt like before I had a fear of like taking my shirt off. Like I don't think my mom even has seen me with no shirt on since I was like a kid. I promise you that like without a thought, like it was just like instantly like I was running around here looking like an autopsy, and I was still taking my shirt off like with no care in the world and stuff like that. And it's just a more pleasurable experience. Like I don't think about what somebody's going to say, even though I have like scars and I'm clearly healing and all the things like that. I take my shirt off now with no second guess in the world.
I love that. Love that. All right, you got some time for some Q&A from the chat?
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. All right, Purple Bellflower is asking, I know someone interested in gynecomastia surgery. What was your healing like?
So for me, it was straightforward. I feel like with medicine now, it's so advanced that it's nothing to be scared about. Healing was a breeze. The first 3 to 4 days, you're gonna need somebody to like help you out with bandages, changing, getting you out of the bed, getting your food. Not because you can't get it per se, but you coming down like off of the anesthesia, the medicines. Your body is trying to figure out like what's going on, and it just feels like it's under attack. So you might be nauseous, appetite coming back and forth, especially like if you on a GLP-1, like you don't know which way your hunger is going to be as the days go by. But it was smooth sailing. About day 5 or 6, I was like, let's go outside.
I'm assuming you had to stop your medication, your GLP-1. Was that a week before or 2 weeks before?
So my doctor said a week. but my doctor, my surgeon was not too knowledgeable about GLP-1. So he was like, oh, just stop it the week before. And he just said it so nonchalantly. So I was like, even though he the doctor, you know what I'm saying? But I was being scary about it. And when I did research and anybody else that was on GLP-1, they stopped 2 weeks before. So I
Yeah.
stopped 2 weeks before.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are switched to a week now. I know the default was two. Then did they give you any? I know when we talked previously, you said they gave you Vicodin, what you took for a couple of days. Did they give you antibiotics and or anything else?
Yeah, so they give you antibiotics to take for like the first 3 to 4 days to kind of make sure like you don't get like any infections or whatever like from all of the cuts and things like that. And then they do give you Vicodin. But I say after like day 4 or 5, um, day 4 I was only taking maybe like one a day, and I usually would take it like at night, so I'd be able to like sleep through the night, like just in
Hmm.
case like I move or something like that. But after then, I was probably taking just like Tylenol, and then like day 6, 7, I wasn't taking anything.
Nice. All right. And Grant, I think Grant was reading my mind. I asked that question earlier. Did insurance cover your surgery? You talked about a
It's
little bit.
it's possible, but I don't recommend doing that because you have to get a lot of yeses and things like that. I just paid out of pocket, and my surgery, my initial payment was about like just shy of $10,000, but because my surgery went, I only paid for 3 hours worth of work. I had a extra anesthesia bill and like hospital stay bill because I was just there longer than what I paid for.
Nice. So 10K, do you mind saying how much the total all in was, or you
Yeah,
don't have
so it
to
was
if you don't want to?
about, yeah, about $12,000. So, and my doctor's fee was about like 5,500. So like for him to like cut me and do all of the things was 5,500. I think my hospital like stay, so to be able to like be in the bed and all of the stuff. I think that was about like a couple $1,000, and then anesthesia was like 1,300 or something like that. I'm just quoting. And then after that, because the surgery went to 5.5 hours, hour and a half of another more anesthesia was about maybe like $800 or $900, and then like my hospital stay bill was like another 1,200. So then that got me up to about like $12,000.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Purple Bellflower wants to know, um, was your procedure cut and sew or lipo?
So it was both. So again, I had the lipo up here on both sides, and then also like right under like like where my boobs was, to kind of like there was like some puffiness because like my boob, and then there was like a second set of like boobish ish type of skin area. So when like before they removed it, they did like some lipo, so like my chest would be more like defined like in terms of a man, and then they remove the excess side skin when they cut towards my back.
Nice. Okay. Grant wants to know, after all this process, would you recommend surgery to other males?
Yes, if you feel like your chest is taken away from your like your male experience, so like gynecomastia is like a gender affirming care, right? So like when we talk about like, people that may be transitioning from like to a different gender from what they were born with, like their experience, because like internally they don't feel like the body that they were born in is not the correct thing, right? So they don't feel like they can truly live their full experience as who they are destined to be and stuff like that. And the same, I kind of had those same feelings as well, right? So like I'm a man, I'm born a man, and I'm like I'm a man, and then I go look in the mirror, and then I have these boobs that's like challenging like my perception of like who I am as a person. So I'm
Right.
like, I'm trying to lose all this weight and do all of the things, and it's still not working. So I feel like my body is like trying to fight against me. So I felt like the surgery was the only thing that I could do to kind of like affirm like how I feel innately. So yes, I definitely recommend this. If you feel like your body presentation is challenging, like who you are and who you identify as, you definitely should consider it.
I think I saw some questions in here that don't have the leading cues. Let me find them. Uh, what was the heaviest weight to current weight? What is your height, Shawn and Charles?
So I've gotten all the way up to 366. 356 is when I started to like work out. And then my lowest weight is 236.
Okay. And
And I'm
MJ for
5'7.5".
okay. And MJ for me, my heaviest weight was 358. And I started GLP-1 at 315. I'm now at 197, and my height is 6'2". Um, okay, and MJ is asking another question. What happens if the regain happens? Will you develop dog ears on the side of the breast contour? Will chest weight training help?
So I mean it's kind of too soon to say. If even if I regain weight, I feel like the way that like my body has been cut and shaped and things like that, I still don't feel like it's going to look like how it did before. I'm too deep in. This is the longest weight loss journey that I've ever been on, so I think I'm too deep in to rebound back to that point. Um, but I would hope to think that with weight training and doing all of the things like that will continue to help out with the appearance and prevent dog ears from coming. But since we got over the fear of laying down on the table, if I need him to suck something else out, I mean,
Yeah,
we gonna get it done.
yeah. And you just answered this question, but it was another question, but you just answered it, so you don't need to answer it. But if you're in the chat, please um, put when you're asking the question, put three Q's in front of it. It allows me to filter the chat by those specific letters and get your question asked. Um, and Purple Bellflower is asking, how soon did you resume your GLP-1 after surgery?
Like 2 weeks after. He said after a week that I could start back, but I was just like so scared because again, I felt like he wasn't that knowledgeable about it. So I wanted to get kind of like far out, to kind of like minimize any issues coming up or whatever. So I started back 2 weeks after. Um and then any other medication that was like optional that I didn't need to take, I just started it like within the last week.
Okay. All right. I got a super chat from my guy G's. Great job, fellas. Congrats, Shawn.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, G's. Appreciate you as always. And let's see. Any other questions from you guys? Um, I don't see any. Oh, there we go. There we go. Calamity Jane, outside of weight loss, what positive impacts have you experienced since being on this journey?
Uh, I guess attention. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. I feel like regardless of how you show up in the world, people should be respectful to you. So I definitely think I've gotten a lot of attention since the surgery and things like that. People are say they are inspired by my journey. They're not scared to take a GLP-1 because I don't know why, but a lot of people have a lot of hesitations when it comes to considering like a GLP-1. It is a female dominated space in terms of like being vocal about being on it and stuff like that. So when you talk to men about it, they feel like that is also challenging their manhood, that they should be able to just go to the gym and just work out and just let it all fall off and things like that. But um, some people are more like comfortable talking to their providers about possibly getting on a GLP-1 and having that discussion with other men and about their concerns and all of the things when it comes to GLP-1s and even the gynecomastia surgery and stuff like that. So I think for me the biggest thing is just like attention, and then also just my experience, like just being in a smaller body, like going to the mall. Like only one thing that I really wanted outside of being healthy was like being able to experience going to the mall. Like I've never comfortably had a good experience going to the mall outside of buying shoes and like hats and stuff like that since maybe like my sophomore year of college. So I'm 33 now. So being able to go to the mall and not have to think about like, can I fit in this store and in this place and that. Like I can go anywhere now. Like it just life is abundant at this point, especially when it comes to outfits.
Isn't it so much different being able to go into a store and try something on and it fits, not have to order it from online? Even though I
Hmm.
hate shopping, I hate going shopping, but it's a different experience for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we got a question from Mel to the B. Shawn, thank you for your courage, everything. Are you planning any other surgeries?
No, not really. If I get to a point where I'm feeling uncomfortable about something else, I would do it. But no, I feel like I battled the beast, which was my chest. It's too pronounced. It was nothing I can do. No compression shirt. No nothing that I can do. Like it was there. So I don't. Everything else is optional. But my chest is gone, so I think I'm good on surgeries.
All right, Andre wants to know what's your current dose of Zepbound and have you hit a plateau?
So I'm on Mounjaro, but Zepbound and Mounjaro is the same thing. I'm I just took my last 12.5 because I was off 15 for a month, and my provider didn't want me to run into any major side effects after being off of a GLP-1 for so long. So she put me back on 12.5. So I just finished my last one on Monday, and I've hit plateaus a lot. I've used like metformin to help me get over. I Before my surgery, I was also on phentermines to kind of help get me to the 230s before my surgery and things like that. That is the only medication that I have not started retaking back yet, just because it does have like an impact like on the heart and stuff like that, and I'm just scared. I've been cleared to take it, but I just haven't taken it because you know I'm not necessarily in the business of trying to lose any more weight, but I do have it if I feel like I need to lose any more weight or whatever.
And you're type 2, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So, but my metformin, I don't have to take it for like lowering my like A1C or anything like that. So Mounjaro is strictly for like weight maintenance and things like that.
So the metformin just helped you give you that extra to get over the hump when you hit that plateau.
Yeah. So apparently, because I didn't, know that, but it was like, yeah, certain people they do, even metformin on its own, but they do like very high doses of it to kind of help people like lose weight. So and I don't know what the research is in terms of like the sugar levels and things and how it plays a part in people's like weight loss and stuff. And I'm sure that's why GLP-1s is such a success as well. But um, keeping that your sugar levels at a certain level or whatever kind of helps you get, to the next level in terms of like weight loss and stuff like that. So yes, I was on I had stopped metformin after maybe like 6 months of being on a GLP-1 because I had lost so much weight that my A1C had went down from 7.1 to like a 4.9. So he was like, I want you to stop like your metformin. But when I got up to about like 100 pounds, like it was very hard for me to continue to lose weight and stuff like that. So my um, weight management doctor was like, well, I'll give you some metformin and that should help you get over the plateau. And it did. Then that stopped working, and then I transitioned to phentermine, and then that was working.
Hmm. So you how is the Mounjaro helping you to manage your A1C? You got down to 4.9. Is it staying about that level as far as you know?
Yeah, 4.9 and 5,
Yeah.
bounce back and forth.
Yeah. So that's also amazing that, being a type 2 that you've been able to lose 120 in a time frame that you did, because I know a lot of people that are type 2 struggle with weight loss. So that's amazing.
Hmm.
Let's see. Uh, Grant, thank you, Charles, for having this series. So great to hear other males' point of view on all of this. Thank you for sharing, Shawn. Thank you, Grant. I appreciate that. Calamity, do you have any new activities or adventures you want to try since hitting your goals and post surgery? Sometimes excursions have weight restrictions.
So I've done all of the things in terms of like weight restriction type situation. So I've done like I fly, and even I did that at 260, and I think they just need extra bodies on you to make sure you don't just go flying away or whatever. But the weight limit for that was like 250. And I think the only other thing that I don't want to do it, so I don't really care. And I think the weight limit is like 215, 220, and that's like jumping off a plane. I'm not that eager to do nothing like that.
No.
But amusement parks, I've went to King's Dominion, and I haven't done that since I was a kid. And I rode on every ride with no problems. um, if anything else, it's probably going to like Japan, going streetwear shopping, and you already know Asian brands, their sizing is a little different. So
Yeah.
I'm probably really obese to them, but going over there, probably shopping and seeing like what that experience is like, is probably like the only other thing that I probably want to like try out.
Yeah, yeah, they can keep the jumping out of the planes. I ain't doing that one. But I did hit Six Flags my first, I think my first 6 months, on my journey. I had lost close to 100 pounds. So I went for my birthday. I went to Six Flags and rode every ride that I could. So that was a great experience. I wasn't able to fit on a lot of those rides.
Hmm.
And Gen F is asking, when did you start MJ?
I started probably like September, October of last year.
And before that, it was Wegovy.
Hmm.
And it's interesting they gave you Wegovy instead of Ozempic.
Because like the insurance situation. So I think how when they submitted my request to be able to get my pre-approval for it, they submitted it as like a weight situation. And then at that time, like the insurance was okay with people just taking it for like vanity reasons and stuff like that. But then eventually, probably like after like my authorization expired, like maybe like 6 or 8 months later, they changed the rules because everybody started getting on it, and it was like, oh, you have to have like a diabetes diagnosis. And fortunately I did have one, and they resubmitted it for like diabetic reasons and stuff like that. And then because at first they wasn't allowing me to get Mounjaro, so Mounjaro was strictly for diabetic, people. So when they submitted my pro off at the beginning, only ones that I was able to get was Wegovy. But when they resubmitted it, I was able to get any GLP-1 I wanted. And then everybody was like, "Oh, Mounjaro is the super GLP-1." So I switched over to that one after my prior off was, allowed me to get any GLP-1.
Grant wants to know, have you ever tried Busch Gardens in Williamsburg? I go there a lot from West Virginia. That was a huge NSV for me to be able to ride those roller coasters with no trouble.
Yeah, so the last amusement park that I ever been to outside of Kingston Mean was Busch Gardens. So I went to college in the Hampton Roads area. So Busch Gardens was the closest amusement park to us, and that was the last amusement park that I went to.
And I think that is the last question. Let's see. Yeah, that is it. There's a lot of comments in here, so if you get a chance to go through and watch the replay with the live chat, go through. There's a lot of comments in here, over 100. So people are following along with you. But Shawn, I appreciate you for coming on and telling your experience, particularly around the surgery. I think that is a discussion that needs to be more front and center for the men in our community, uh, especially those that have had a lot of weight loss and may need to look into having that surgery and other
Hmm.
skin removal surgery. So being able to see you talk about it in such a way that makes it relatable to people will be a real big bonus. So I appreciate that. For everyone that is watching, you can find Shawn's social media on in the video description. He is on Instagram and on Twitter. So if you're not following him, please go ahead and follow
TikTok,
him.
TikTok.
What did I say? Oh,
You said Twitter.
oh sorry. Yeah, TikTok and Instagram. We don't want to go to Twitter. That's hell right now. TikTok and Instagram. So those links are in the description if you want to follow him. Please go ahead and follow him. He has some great content. He's always dressed to the nines, and he always also has some funny stuff that he posts all the time. Always having me cracking up. So everyone is saying great job, Shawn. Appreciate you coming through.
Thank you, thank
So
you.
again, thank you very much. Please share this out to people that may need to see it. We appreciate you all joining us tonight. I don't have anything planned for next week. I am working on it, so hopefully I will get someone plugged in. The person that I had in mind is not going to be available, but I'll see if I can circle back with someone and let everyone know. So, but I do appreciate everyone joining us tonight. And sorry about the audio issue at the start. Somehow my mic volume got turned down, but thanks for pointing it out, and I was able to rectify that. So, thank you, everyone. Everyone, have a great night.